Hello everyone, welcome back. I am Joe Figueroa with another video in our series Anatomy of a Dance, where I break down social dancing count for count, pointing out all the dancers do. This week's video is a 3 pieces of cool with Mouaze Myrto and Myrto Masiri. So please share, like, and subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel, we now have a link in the description, but you better do it fast because we're starting right now. There is actually so much done in this dance by both that it was difficult to only choose 3. Also, this breakdown will not be in chronological order like my others, since the first thing I'm mentioning has 3 versions throughout the dance, and I want to reference all of them. So let's start with that. I refer to this movement as a continuous turn, with a 70 ending in this case. Mouaze does the continuous turn 3 times, with 3 different exits, showing not only their diversity but also the movement's diversity. But the techniques for leading and following are the same. We start with this back break or hard break to create a copa or cumbia feel for the follow. I would say that the back break is necessary to execute this cleanly. In the first one, you can see that Mouaze back breaks, then sidesteps to his right to clear a path for Myrto. You can also see that this first turn is executed during the preparation and on one end of the line rather than as she passes him. Mouaze brings both sets of hands over his head in a windmill fashion, swinging his right handhold over first and his left to follow. Having the arms spread out in this manner helps to keep a pace for both dancers. Notice the symmetry in the steps. His weight transferring back on his right, stepping into the space she was in a moment ago. Her weight transferring forward to her left, moving down the line that he has provided. That was the prep and the direction. Now comes the movement. The lead has several options here. Mouaze went with the 70. After both sets of hands clear her head, Mouaze lowers his left and raises his right, using that right handhold to create a second inside turn for Myrto. At the same time, tucks the follow's right hand behind their back, as you can see here. This is referred to as a 70. I've also heard the term hammerlock used. In the second example, all the same components are here. Back break on 6, since they are dancing on 2. Sidestep to clear a path. This time, however, Mouaze has a left to left and right to right handhold, with lefts below. In this scenario, Mouaze passes both sets of hands over their heads at nearly the same time, again controlling the pace and using the extra momentum created to lead another inside turn or counterclockwise turn. Again, lowering his left and raising his right, but since the handhold for Myrto is different, the result is different. The arms wrapped at her body like a hug prevent her inside turn from completing, so she preps for a check. Looks like she's going with a New York style footwork for her check, which is going to help her spinning if that's what comes next, which is what comes next. Leads notice here how Mouaze commits to her movement's look by bringing her hand all the way to the body. His right hand passes all the way over to her left shoulder in order to guarantee she go as far into her turn as possible. This is an example of a lead understanding that the follows follow the hands. This last one starts similarly to the first one in regards to the handhold. Once again, all the same techniques are here. However, in this situation, Mouaze keeps both sets of hands up over her head to complete her second turn. See what I mean? 3 different versions of the same movement, each with a different look, all very well done by both. The second piece of cool is all about Myrto's fantastic styling. We're winding back to the beginning of the dance. Let's look at this simple basic step. Mouaze extends their right hands well out in front of them to indicate to Myrto where her direction is. Like I always say in class, and clearly what Myrto understands as a professional, is that the line belongs to the follow. Even though this movement is technically just a basic step, she takes long and narrow steps forward, what I refer to as a progressive basic. With these steps, she is able to interpret what Mouaze is intending as well as what the music is doing. So her movement connects with part of the music. In this case, Tito's Fermata. Myrto breaks back on 6. Takes a forward step on 7, starting to move down the line past Mouaze. After she passes him and feels his left hand at her midsection, she places all her weight to her right on the count of 1 and begins to swing her left leg in an arc from the left out in front and fully extended to her right. Pivots on her right foot for her 1 as well as the and of 2 to accent the movement and steps down on 2, almost back in the direction where she began, placing her in the original position. Follows notice here how she uses the line, both forward and back, to create this movement. I've seen many follows attempt movements similar to this, but what they do is cross over with their left wide instead of long, placing themselves off to the right of the original line, making their follow wider rather than longer, which makes more work for the lead, and a less elegant appearance overall. Look at how Myrto extends her leg to its length, and she keeps it extended until it reaches the floor on 2. Look at her twist of the torso. That leg extension is all the way up to her hip. Excellent example of training. This other movement really shows Myrto's balance. A simple inside turn led with rights high and lefts low, placing both dancers in a T position. Now typically, the follow would come through this, breaking back on 6 facing the lead. But what Myrto has done is step down on her balance step, her 5, which is the left, raise her right knee up and holds the position, allowing Mouaze's steady lead to guide her around half circle, giving us the viewer the appearance of a figurine rotating on a platform. She holds this pose for the counts of 5, 6, 7, and steps down on 1 to go into the next movement. Okay, so Myrto's styling was cool number 2. If you haven't tuned out yet, let me remind you again to subscribe. It's free to do, you can always change it later, and it really helps me a lot. If you like these videos, please give them a thumbs up. Comment with any questions you might have. I read every one of them, and answer every question. Moving on. Number 3. I'm always amazed at the crossover that can be seen between dance and other physical movement arts. This last movement is an example of this. A tiny moment where Mouaze gives Myrto an inside turn to check from a handshake hold position. He's about to place his left hand to her body to stop her turn, thereby creating the check, just like earlier. A quick question for you leads. Why do you think he did this? Look at how he has his left hand high at first, almost like he was still deciding where he was going to place it, then suddenly decides on the small of her back. Look at how careful he is in his placement. I always tell my students that when leading, your points of contact should be firm but not striking, not abrupt. But I'm just dying to know why he went from high to low like that. I'll ask him. But there's more to the movement. The check leads to a double spin from the handshake hold position, right to right. Mouaze uses his fingertips to execute the first turn, but then his wrist for the second. This is of course intentional and designed with a purpose. The twisted wrist dictates that the lead twist their upper body in order to maintain the connection, as you can see here. Mouaze twists his shoulder to his left to give the appearance that he is passing her hand behind his back. He releases Myrto's hand to let it drop and immediately raises his left hand up to connect with her right as it drops. Look at how he raises his hand to catch her hand on top of his wrist, then moves his left up to meet with his right hand where he makes the exact same movement. Now, where have I seen this before?
Wax on, wax off. Show me wax on, wax off.
Could it be that Mouaze Myrto, along with being a fabulous dancer and organizer of the Paris International Salsa Congress, was also trained by Mr. Miyagi? Look, he's even in horse stance. This movement ended with grabbing her wrist, which is also similar to a martial arts regrab. Thank you, Sharon, for helping me with the terminology. Mouaze then tosses her arm out to her right as he sidesteps to clear her path and move her into a walk. This sequence shows that Mouaze knows how to always keep one point of contact on his partner, so she always knows where he is. The monkey mentality I've spoken about before. And there you have 3 pieces of cool. Technically it's 6, but who's counting? That's going to do it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to support the channel, there's a link in the description. You can help me to give you what you want to see if you comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, and hopefully on the dance floor.
Look, always look,